Alright, it's recording. Alright, first up on side dishes, just mashed potatoes to go with the meatloaf. I don't know why I'm talking, because I feel like a moron, but of course you peel the potatoes. That's my mom. You'll hear laughing in the background at me trying to come up with something witty to say, which isn't very likely.
I'm back here eating candy bars. Eat candy bars, drink coffee. I'm the instructor.
I'll get the instructor.
Instructor gadget.
Alright, cut out all the bad spots. We'll rinse it off here in a minute. And show the best way to cut them to make mashed potatoes. Of course, that's according to America's Test Kitchen. And it does seem to work. Plus, it cuts down on the amount of time you have to spend dicing up potatoes. So if you're just making mashed potatoes, it's pretty nice to just cut them into 1/4 inch to 3/8 of an inch slices off the whole potato. I'll show you here in a second. Once you get all these peels off. These potatoes are fairly big, so I'll only need 4 of them, and I'll have leftovers. In case shepherd's pie or something comes up in the next day or 2. And this is my handy dandy world favorite potato filler. Is it showing up on the screen? Because I can't.
Down. Yeah.
This thing is a lifesaver when it comes to peeling potatoes. You can buy them new from a place in Chicago for like $40 a piece. This came from a flea market for $1, but you can't hardly find them anymore. But they're awesome. Some people don't like them, but I love them. Because I ain't worth the crap peeling potatoes with a knife. And this way I can peel them fairly quickly.
Unless you're like me and I peel them and they go everywhere.
Alright. Get those and wash them off.
Well, when do you get them in the bucket?
Alright, wash these off and then I'll dice them up for the side dish of mashed potatoes here. Of course, if we had a decent cameraman, they might turn the camera around so you can see me washing potatoes, but I'm sure nobody cares. They know how to wash potatoes. But then, cut them like this. It's quick. And because they're all about the same size, they'll all get done about the same time, without having a whole bunch that are undercooked or overcooked. Of course, with potatoes the size of a large zucchini, it's kind of rough to cut on occasion. Especially with this knife. It's kind of dull, but it's cheap. If it breaks, I don't care. Not that I ain't got a ton of knives. Alright. 4 potatoes. Alright. You gonna stick your head in there and say something?
No.
Or do something?
Turn the motor off.
Alright.
I'll finish with some potatoes.
Alright, and then of course, clean the onion. Next is gonna be meatloaf. and some meatballs for a later meal, or for a meal later in the week, I should say. Although I think I need another onion. I could use the food chopper, but I still might, because anything. I should have turned it flat like this, but I didn't, because I was not thinking about aesthetics. I still might put them in the food chopper. Go ahead and get the food chopper down.
Okay, the camera's away. I'll knock the camera off.
Oh well. I didn't even think about that when I started. Alright. Well, it's not rocket science.
That little one up there?
Yeah, it just makes a whole hell of a lot. Well, they all make a lot of noise, so it ain't worth it. I can dice these up better. Because it don't really matter. We can edit this to make it look better.
Need a bowl. The big kid.
Yeah. That's why you should use a sharper knife than the one I'm using too, by the way.
The glass bowl or the
But-
metal bowl?
Metal bowl is easier to clean. And for those of you that are wondering, I'm going to put these in the food chopper after I pause the camera. Alright, to do like they do on TV and show you this conglomeration I've got here, and then suddenly it comes back to the onions and they're all diced up real fine and pretty. Alright, I turned down the light a little, might make it easier to see. It seemed kind of bright when I went over there to look at it. But chop up your onions a little bit, put them in the food chopper. Don't feel like taking the time to do it by hand, and don't mind doing a few dishes. But I wind up doing dishes 3 or 4 times every time I cook anything anyway. So, alright. I'm using a little food chopper backward from the way I usually do, so I didn't realize it had to flip. This was a brand new Food Network food chopper that Mom got at a junk store for $10. That was still in the box. One of the better finds on one of our vacations to the mountains. Alright, now we got fine cut onions for the meatloaf. Get this out of the way. My assistant decided to go watch Let's Make a Deal, so I'll be away from the camera instead of just mixing this stuff up real quick. But next comes the hamburger. I'm making half of it into meatloaf and half of it into meatballs, but the basic recipe is the same. Pick out however much hamburger you think you're going to need for the usual meatloaf for your family. Or yourself. Break it up a little. And start adding ingredients. Although a spatula would probably be better. Let me get one of those. The spoon makes a little bit of a clinky noise. Since this is the first time ever attempting a video making anything, I'm going to have to learn as I go the best way to do it and not ruin what you can hear. If you can hear anything. Because right now I don't even know if you're hearing anything. But we'll find out. And with my voice, it's probably better if you didn't hear anything. Alright, so we have 1 large onion, about 3.5 pounds of hamburger, around a cup, give or take, of breadcrumbs, salt, about a tablespoon and a half, for that much ought to be close. Pepper, about a tablespoon, or however much you like. Then next will be your eggs. Maybe, if I can pull this off. 1 egg. 2 eggs. 3 eggs. Put it in that mulch bucket. Then, for my mom, because real onion isn't enough, some onion powder. About teaspoon and a half. And for a little depth of flavor, a little bit of soy sauce. About 3 tablespoons. And then, because it's the way it was always done down in the South, a little bit of ketchup. But you can add anything, mustard or steak sauce or whatever. And then comes the fun part. And yes, I am being sarcastic. Not many people like sticking their hands in raw meat and raw egg. But it is the easiest way. Incorporate all your ingredients. Which, when it's this much, it might take a minute. They always say the more you handle meat, the tougher it gets. But in meatloaf, it doesn't really matter too much because the onions and bread keep it from getting so tough it's like leather. And by now you should be starting to smell a little bit of how your meatloaf's going to taste. And not too bad. You could add some Italian seasonings or whatever. But like I said at the beginning, half of this is going to go for meatballs and half for meatloaf for supper tonight. And I'm about done on incorporating. So, hey Mom, could you come in here and pick out the pan you want for meatloaf? So I don't have to wash my hands yet?
How big the meatloaf? Is that all?
I don't know. How much meatloaf you want?
You got one of these silver pads?
We can use that if you want.
Does it well? Will we spread or just leave it like that?
Yeah, you can spray it. Watch where we have cookie spray.
So we ate.
Oh, I just meant here, right now, when you need it. Although that is kind of big here.
Don't for me, I like meatloaf.
Well, I know, but I was going to save half of it for meatballs. Thanks, Mom. That's... Well, it's kind of in the middle of making the meatloaf. So. Wendy Lindy's cooking tips. Alright, so pan's a little big for the meatloaf, but get it to a consistent thickness all the way around. Although everybody likes the crusty edges more than the center in most cases around here. But can you see the meatloaf, Mom? Go so far as to look in the camera, because I can't see what the camera shows.
I can. Yeah.
Anyway, there we go. That's about what it looks like. Now that's ready for the oven. And I'm going to wash my hands. Alright. Now comes the meatballs. And I didn't add any meat or garlic to the meatloaf, but I usually do. I just forgot. But it's meatloaf, so it ain't going to make a whole lot of difference. But I will add it for the meatballs going in spaghetti. Alright. Now here's where we could add good Italian seasonings. If I can get the lid open with one hand.
Are you putting garlic in them?
I did. Alright. About a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. You don't want them too strong. Mix them in with the garlic. The good thing about doing this is that the longer the seasonings and the onions and everything sit together.
Set them on the pan and freeze them in the, like that.
Yeah. Or just put them in the plastic container and put the whole container in the freezer. That big square flat one. Or whatever you got handy, brother. Well, I wouldn't use that aluminum foil, but here's the other one. Nobody's gonna ever want to eat here again after watching this. You know that.
Hey, watching this part.
They're listening to you, Mom. Yeah. All right. And now comes the worst part about making meatballs. Most people use a cookie cutter scoop. I just grab about the same amount, roll them out by hand lightly. And we'll set them on this pan here to freeze, and then put them in a Ziploc bag to add, just cook and add the sauce later. The one Super Bowl party we had, and me and my brother, I made 40 pounds of these meatballs. And you talk about a pain in the behind. That's a little bit too soft a word, pain in the ass. I don't think that's a harsh enough language to bother warning anybody about anymore. Although I wouldn't put out the possibility of the occasional F-bomb being dropped with me cooking. I might have. I do tend to use that word a lot. But you just put them like this and set them in the freezer until they freeze, harden up a little bit, so that they don't collapse and go flat when you put them in a Ziploc bag. Pretty much common sense, but considering some of the people I've seen making videos tend to tell things like that because there's always some person out there that's going to make them. And my meatballs turned out to be a meatloaf because they didn't wait for them to freeze up a little. And I'm just sitting here talking because my hands are covered in meat and I can't pause the camera without getting raw hamburger all over it. So here's me attempting to fill time, watch the Price is Right, and make meatballs at the same time. If you'll notice, they're not exactly perfect, same size, but that way everybody knows they're actually homemade meatballs. But I get kind of close. And with these, the meatballs, you can add different seasonings in them, like Chinese 5 spice or teriyaki sauce to make like Chinese Oreo meatballs or something. But it's easier just to make the same meatball recipe basically and make different sauces like brown gravy or marinara to go with it. That way you can just make these in advance and pick out what you need for a night. Meatball hoagies are awesome no matter what flavor you decide to go with. Cook them and saute them with some sliced bell pepper and onion. It's always good. On a hoagie roll. Something I ain't quite got the hang of making yet, but I do make decent breads. It's just the shaping of the bun that I'm having a problem with, but I watched the guy do it, and I think I know how to do it next time. But I haven't had time to set that up yet. So that might be in a future video, which might be more for a gag reel than anything. Down to the last 4 meatballs. And then I'll shut up for a minute. Of course, it never occurred to me. You might be hearing the TV, might be the only audio in this video. I didn't realize how loud it was till this commercial come on. Alright, there's the last of the meatballs. Alright, as you can tell, put gravy on the meatloaf instead of the usual ketchup. Just for a little variety. Really good though. High fat, but even though I did drain the grease off of it, you wouldn't know it to look at the gravy right now. After it cooked for about 3/4 of the way, taking it out and paste the gravy. While we're waiting on the mashed potatoes to get done, alright.
Go drain the potatoes.
Because if you don't, there'll be somebody out there watching it, not from the cooking group, I hope, but somebody out there will be like, well, I tried to make potatoes like she did, and they all watery and nasty.
Well, mine might be too.
Well, you at least start with draining the potatoes. Alright, I got the phone. Here's the milk. Oh, you're doing it way too far out of sight of the camera.
Oh, it was great. I was
Burn the hair off.
Oh, heavens. Of course.
Hello. She's filming a video. Give her about 10 minutes.
Oh, I'll call her back if she needs to know.
Yeah, finally got her into making some YouTube videos for cooking. So she'll call you back and, huh?
Let's use it.
Yeah, for cooking. Yeah. Well, she'll be done in about 10 minutes. She's making mashed potatoes and then she'll be done.
So I'll call her back. in a
She'll
minute.
call you right back. Okay. Bye. Love you too. Bye. Now watch, she'll sue us and it does make money. I was on the video. Nobody asked for my consent. Milk, butter, salt. In case you didn't call it out or you couldn't tell what she was doing. And of course, always taste.
Eat salt.
Everything needs salt with Mom. You gotta watch her. She'll put too much in.
Well, taste it. Does need salt. Believe me.
You always say that.
You don't have no salt taste at all.
It does need a little. Not everybody's the salt monster from Star Trek like you
How I
are.
got low sodium? What the hell?
Well, I know you got low sodium, but don't ask me how. Maybe we can catch it.
Needs more butter.
More butter. You done put both sticks?
No, I don't put this one real quick.
I was about to say, damn. That's even extreme for you. How much you want?
About half of that. I like butter. What can I say? Butter's good for you.
This is where the Surgeon General warns you not to make mashed potatoes the way my mother does.
You learn who to eat butter, the hell with them.
Here's where the language warning comes in. Of course, they might not have been able to hear you over the mixer, but she's up.
Oh, I think I moved the camera.
You did, but that's okay.
You thought tea
Have
was
you moved
bad?
it far enough that we, huh?
And I said you thought tea was bad. What's
Tea?
the name? The woman.
Oh, soulful tea. One day we're gonna have to do one of these when you're drinking.
I think it's still needs salt.
Well, we can add salt later. Just get it close.
Where's the turn? They're done. Just one more salt.
Well. Alright, there's the finished product. Meatloaf with brown gravy, mashed potatoes, and peas. Nothing special, but pretty darn good. And there's some bacon served dinner rolls for later to go with it. But for right now, that's what we were making. Have a good day, everybody.